Hello, I'm Ian, and this is Somerset News Network. Now, 24 hours it's been since ex-Prince Andrew was arrested, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Now, he was arrested on misconduct in public office. The Epstein files show emails between him and Epstein, and he gave Epstein government information when he was the business envoy for this country. So he's given government personal data, secret information to a foreign power, mainly Epstein. They didn't say anything about the girls. Not a word about his playful activities with females, is a nice way of putting it. Now, we've got the emails. We can all see what he's done. The same is true for Mandelson. Mandelson did the same thing. Both of them were friends with Epstein. Mandelson was the business secretary under Gordon Brown. Andrew was the business envoy. And they're sat together in press conferences. Now, Mandelson was on the Privy Council. He's said to have been ousted now. But as a member of the Privy Council, he would be advising the King, or then it would have been the Queen. So if there were scandals around what Andrew was up to, and it was involved in Epstein, it would have been in Mandelson's interest to play those allegations down, to advise the Crown that, oh, we don't want this in public, oh, this is going to upset the monarchy, the Queen might have to resign, and all this sort of junk. That's exactly the same is happening now with our King. Now, they're saying, oh, the King must have known. And what they're doing is the press are linking the two different things together. They're saying the King knew. King knew about the women because of the Giuffre case. We all knew about the Giuffre case. It was all over the internet, all over the press. Then they're saying, oh, the Prince of Wales, as he was then, helped to give Andrew the money to pay her off, which was 12 million. Well, if he didn't know her and nothing happened, why did he pay the 12 million? The King wouldn't have been able to do that without the consent or the knowledge of the Prime Minister at the time and the Privy Council. I keep on about the Privy Council. The Privy Council is the link between the government and the Crown. They're mostly made up of politicians and members of the House of Lords. And the list is as long as your arm. Go on, the Privy Council has a website. And every year they add people to it. And there's great big long lists of everybody's on it. Diana Abbott is on it. Starmer is on it. I haven't seen Lammy's name yet, but I'm not saying he's not on it. Nick Clegg was on it. All the senior politicians are normally on the Privy Council. It's also a way they can conduct government business between the Liberals, Democrats and the Conservatives without us knowing what's going on. But that's what the politicians use to talk amongst themselves. Oh, it's on Privy Council level. I had that in one of my lobbying sessions with government. I was told, oh, that's privilege, that's Privy Council stuff. And the MP I was talking to just dismissed it. I didn't know then, but it was also on the Privy Council. Now, let's get this right. The press are anti-monarchy. They're woke. But what would you rather have? Blair, Starmer, Boris as a president of this country? Having a monarchy, a democratic crown, means that we all work for him. Not technically, that's what it says. But the king's got no power. The power of the king was taken from him in 1688. And I keep telling you this. It's a constitutional head of state. And it stops the politicians taking the top job. Do you want Starmer as president to the country? Look what he's been up to over the last 2 years. What do you think he would be up to if he was president? He would declare that he had the divine right of kings, which he thinks he does now anyway. Now, Mandelson is up to his eyeballs in all this. He was also giving Epstein information. Why is he not in a police station being interviewed for 12 hours? How come he can get away with it? Andrew gets publicly humiliated. The police say a man has been arrested, but we can't name him. Yeah, there's photographs of him, and everybody knows. Now, Mandelson was doing the same thing as Andrew. He was in government. He was an advisor to the Prime Minister. He was the business secretary under Gordon Brown. He was giving Epstein information of what the Chancellor was going to do. Could Epstein have been persuading Epstein to tell the Chancellor to do or not to do something? Have an influence over our government. Sorry, I'm sucking a cough sweet because I keep coughing. And it doesn't sound very good on video, does it? So it's starting to got me sucking a fisherman's friend. Now, that just stops me coughing. Now, we know that Andrew had a friendship with Harry's wife before they met. They are pictured on a yacht together. It's alleged that the yacht is Epstein's yacht. So, Meghan Markle knew Andrew before she went out with Harry. Then we've got the photograph that has been released in the Epstein files of Mandelson with his trousers off, with a girl in a nightrobe, in a bathrobe, I should say. Is that Meghan Markle? I pose the question. Was Meghan Markle one of Epstein's girls? Now, as she's the potential victim, if she was a victim of Epstein, I tell you, if she was, she would have come out and she'd be all over the press. But she hasn't said a word. I think she was a willing participant, because she was involved the Victoria's Secrets. On her resume, it said actress and supermodel. Yeah, it did, honest. Actress and supermodel. That's when she was working with Victoria's Secrets. And she was modelling sexy underwear for her. When she went out with Harry, that was scrubbed off the internet. But this picture of her in a yellow polka dot bikini has survived. It is said, allegedly, that Meghan Markle was going to have her own range of sexy underwear, lingerie they call it. But there's no photographs of that. Now, if the police are interviewing Andrew, perhaps they ought to interview Mandelson, because he was doing the same thing, giving Epstein information. And that's misconduct in public office, the same as Andrew. But what did Meghan Markle know? She might have not known the details, but she was around at the time. She knew Andrew, and it looks like her in the photograph. Can't say it is, but it looks like her. The police can ask the Americans to give them an unredacted copy of that Mandelson photograph. Then they can identify the lady, and if it's Meghan Markle, she should be questioned alongside Mandelson and Epstein. Not going to say that she did it, but she was around at the time and she knew the connections and what was going on. Now, we've got to split the two allegations up. There's the allegations that Andrew was giving Epstein government information, which is what he's been arrested for. There's also the controversy over the girls. Were the girls of age? Age of consent in Britain is 16. Age of consent in the States is 18. Now, Giuffre said that she had rumpy-pumpy with Andrew when she was 17. Legal in Britain, illegal in the States. Also, the girls that may have been involved with Andrew also ought to be interviewed. We've got to get to the bottom of it. But what gets me, it's Mandelson and Andrew are all over the press. What about the other people who are involved? Nothing's happening. It's not just them two. It's all the other men that Epstein persuaded to come in to his, I don't know, sex cult, you could call it. He was either providing girls to blackmail people or providing girls to persuade people to give them information so that he knew where to put his money. He was the financial advisor for Victoria's Secrets, the one that Meghan Markle worked for. How much did the king know is a question that's been asked, which is fair enough. But to say the king's got to abdicate over all this, or what Andrew's done, Andrew's the one at fault, not the king. The king is being advised by the Privy Council. The Privy Council, who had Mandelson on it, may have stopped him doing anything. What the king could do is say, oh, because I'm not very well, I'm going to let William handle this and pass the baton over. William will be a total different kettle of fish. Okay, what happens now? I think there ought to be an Act of Parliament, 2 Acts of Parliament. One, the Act of Succession, which they normally do after royal births. So George, Charlotte and Louis would have been added to that list. You can also take people off the list. So the line of concession, we can take Harry off and we can take Andrew off without a problem. We will have to talk about whether we would take Andrew's daughters off or not. But I think that's another discussion for another day. What we've got to do is also have an Act of Parliament to remove titles. They've told us they've removed the titles, but we need an Act of Parliament to actually remove it, physically remove it. So we need an Act of Titles Removal Act. I don't know quite exactly how you would call it, but we'll move Andrew, Duke of York, and Fergie, Duchess of York, remove those. We can also add Harry and Meghan, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, off of that list as well. Because she shouldn't be making money off a royal title, which she continues to do. That's what's important. And then let's look at Epstein and the girls and what happened here. They went on about the trafficking girls in Stansted Airport. Well, who would have known at the time? Epstein would have come in. There would have been a list of people. Him, Maxwell, maybe a couple of men that he knew. Mandelson, maybe. Andrew, maybe. I don't know. And then a few girls. They could have been waitresses, staff, cooks, cleaners. You wouldn't have known. They were just names on a list. Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister at the time. He has sent a 4-page evidence synopsis to the police. That's to save his own skin. Well, if he knew it at the time, why didn't he do something? Because you got the Privy Council and Mandelson's on the Privy Council. How many of the Privy Councillors were involved with Epstein? Somebody's going to have to go through the list. The Privy Council members are listed on their website. Type in Privy Council and you'll see all the members listed. And then match that up with the people who were involved with Epstein. Just do a search on the internet. I haven't got the time to do it. I got to go to work now. I just come in for a cup of coffee and a break. What I do is I go outside for an hour. I'm on water tablets, so I got to keep going to the loo. So I come in, go to the loo, and then I do a video. I have a thing and say something. And now when I finished, I'll let this render, and then I'll put it on the internet later on this afternoon. Well, I'll go back in the workshop for another hour until I want to have a pee again, and then I'll come back in. You know, this is my work shirt, and I got bits of filings because I'm grinding all over it. Now, we've got to keep focused on what's important. And I think, just thinking aloud here, that all this yesterday was to take the press to divert their eyes from Starmer to another subject. And yeah, it was a big story, Andrew being arrested. But we're not talking about the Chagos Islands. We're not talking about the banned elections that are going to go ahead because Farage has won his court case and the government are actually going to pay his lawyers' fees out of court. We're not talking about the number of people who have done tweets and Facebook posts and have been put in jail and fined. And I think it was 2,000 police investigations. Well, it's 2001 because you can count my case as well. The tyranny of this Labour government is important. We have to remove the Labour government. And one thing you do is don't vote Labour. Vote anybody but Labour. Got to show Starmer that we don't agree with his government. And we've got to keep focused on what is real and not come up with these wild allegations. You see, the thing is, the mainstream media are woke. They're anti-monarchist. They don't think we should have a hereditary royal family. What are they going to do? Put Starmer up as a king? God help us. The beauty with a hierarchy, a monarchy, a democratic royalty, is that it's outside of politics. It's not involved in politics. Can't get involved in politics. It's got to be independent. Doesn't matter if it's a Conservative or Labour government. You've still got the Queen, and now you've still got the King. That stabilises the government. This country is heading for civil war. And all this blow up about Andrew is to take our eyes off of how bad the tyranny of a Labour government is. Anyway, I've talked for long enough. I'm going back to work now. Bye-bye.